Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Into the Hive Mind. We've been going detachment by detachment with the new Pariah Nexus and the June 2024 data slate updates, and this episode is on the Endless Swarm. This is the final video, we've done it, so that means that if you're watching this one, every other episode is out. And you guys can watch any other detachment videos that you want, but especially the overview video. If you have not watched that yet, I highly recommend you jump over there first and then come back and finish this video, as the overview video talks about everything that Tyranids got with the 2024 update, which is a lot. So I do think Tyranids are really good right now, and every single detachment is viable, which is why I wanted to make a list for every single one. So this is us talking about the Unending Swarm. I will give the caveat, Unending Swarm is not my playstyle. That being said, I have watched plenty of other people, such as Sam Pope in the semifinals of LVO with his Unending Swarm. It is very much a viable detachment, just not specifically my playstyle, but we're going for a crack at it anyways. So, the Unending Swarm, it did get a pretty sizable nerf with the 2024 data slate. Not directly, unfortunately, we caught the strays where any stratagem that replenishes a dead unit back to full strength can only be used once per game. So that is really unfortunate, as that is kind of the Unending Swarm's main thing. And yeah, we can only use it once per game now. However, what that means is we no longer have to sit there in Unending Swarm and not spend any CP for the entire game, because every CP we want to spend is tied up with bringing a unit back. Once we do that, the rest of our CP can be spent as desired wherever we want. The other big thing that changed for this detachment, Hive Tyrants now have a 6-inch aura of lethal hits on ranged weapons. That kind of replaces the Termagant, in my opinion. I think that basically frees up a ton of points to make the Endless Swarm, or Unending Swarm, actually just have tons and tons of dudes, because you don't need to spend all your money on Swarm Lord and the Hive Tyrant and the Termagant in order to get your lethal hits plus all your stratagem support that you need for this detachment. Instead, we're going to start off with just a single character, the Hive Tyrant. 6-inch aura of lethal hits, plus he gives you a CP discount, so anything that is within 12 of him, you get to actually use your stratagems. The awesome thing about this is if your opponent goes first and they pick up your 20-man unit and you only have 1 CP, you can still bring that unit back. You weren't able to do that before. If your opponent went first, you just kind of had to hope that they didn't kill a unit because you weren't bringing it back because you only had 1 CP. Now you can, and that is a big buff to this detachment. You don't have to worry about getting that first turn roll off anymore. Alright, so Hive Tyrant. Again, 6-inch aura of assault and lethal hits. He's kind of replacing the Termagant, but also giving us command points. So then let's get into the actual swarm. We've got 1 unit of 20 Gargoyles. This is, if you go first, throw them up the board and put your opponent in Gargoyle jail. They're not leaving their deployment zone. They have to kill this unit because it just screened their entire front line of their deployment zone, and they can't leave their deployment zone until they kill this. And then as soon as they kill this, this is your once per game recycle a unit. Do it again next turn. Deep strike them in, shoot, scoot 6 inches forward. They get a move now 3 inches outside of their deployment zone, and then they got to kill this again. If you've done this and they can't leave, you've probably already won the game. That's kind of how Unending Swarm works, is basically you just throw Gargoyles and movement block them, and then by the time they get out, you're already so far ahead on points that, yeah, you win. Good job. So that's how Unending Swarm works. I'd say 70% of the games that you go first, if you're able to do this and your opponent can't get out, then you just win. Which means probably 30% of the time you kind of auto-win off of this strategy. But anyways, after that, though, I don't think we need to go to 20-man units anymore because we're not bringing them back. So let's just make use of the fact that we have tons and tons of dudes that can do really annoying things. So after that, we have 6 squads of 10 Hormagaunts. These guys are absolutely incredible at flipping objectives. So that's what they're going to do. They're just going to run forward, flip an objective here and there, wherever you need it, and basically give your opponent 0 primary. And sure, they might do some damage in the process, but Unending Swarm is not about doing damage. It is 100% about board control. So these guys are coming forward, flipping objectives, and continuing to movement block your opponent. And honestly, they don't really need any stratagem support to do so. And if your opponent shoots them and doesn't kill them, these are the guys that benefit the most from the Surge detachment ability, which is basically the Khorne Blood Surge. If you shoot them but don't kill them, you have to kill a model, but yeah, before they get that Blood Surge move, but then they get to move D6 in a straight line towards the closest enemy unit, and tag your opponent in combat, which can prevent the unit from being shot for the rest of the turn. The other thing that's really good about the Blood Surge move that if you're playing this detachment you should know, it is the closest model needs to move in a straight line or needs to end up closer to the opposing closest model. The rest of the unit gets to move however they want. So if that means you get shot, the closest model moves forward, the rest of the unit moves behind a wall, you get shot again, you pull that one close guy, the rest of the unit's behind the wall, and you choose not to Blood Surge, then the unit can't be shot for the rest of the turn. Works better in 20-man units, so there's not quite as many tricks with these 10-man ones, but just letting you know that that is an option. But don't worry, we do still have 20-man units. They're just Termagants. 4 squads of 20 Termagants. Basically, all of these guys are just going to form a massive wall in the center of the table and make sure that they're within 6 of the Hive Tyrant, so that way they get lethal hits and assault. And with that, I think I'm actually going to go with Devourers now. Spine Fists were great and were definitely the go-to beforehand. However, I think specifically in this detachment, the Spine Fists having 18-inch range and you wanting everyone to be within 6 of the Hive Tyrant who probably just wants to hide all game, I think you actually want the Devourers for the extra 6-inch range. Spine Fists were great at doing actions while in combat. That's not a thing you can do anymore. So I actually think, just lethal hits off of Devourers is the way to go. You still have your 2 shots, and you just don't get to shoot them in combat anymore. But hopefully the Gargoyles and the Hormagaunts are keeping you out of combat, and you get to just light your opponent up with a million Devourer shots. All right, so yeah, you've got 80 of these guys. Just tail them back to the Hive Tyrant. Hive Tyrant hides behind a wall. Now, that is it for the Swarm. So, I mean, you've got 80 Termagants, 60 Hormagaunts, and 20 Gargoyles, and you're probably recycling the 20 Gargoyles, which means you have 180 Gaunt bodies in this list. I think that qualifies as an Unending Swarm. After that, you do have some firepower. So you've got 2 Exocrines. These guys just, if your opponent comes at you with really crazy combat melee infantry, these Exocrines just pick that up. So that is probably your biggest concern in this detachment, is if your opponent comes at you with a bunch of Space Marines that have 6 attacks each that just chop through everything and your army just dies. The Exocrines can pick those back up really easily. The downside being if you fight like triple Repulsor Executioner, you probably lose unless you can hide from them. I don't know. Iron Storm's not nearly as good anymore, so it's not as much of a concern. But yeah, Exocrines help you kill any of these melee armies with mass attacks that can just pick up multiple squads. The Exocrines kill them in return. We've also got double acid spray Tyrannofex for the same reason. Basically, you're walling off with all of these Gaunts, and then anyone that's coming forward to threaten them, overwatch with Flamers. Tyrannofexes are great at that, and yeah, so that's essentially the list. You've got 3 Venomthropes as well to give all of these Gaunts -1 to hit and cover from ranged attacks, making them, it like literally doubles their durability. It's insane. So yeah, 180 Gaunts, probably having stealth and cover is really, really good. Hive Tyrant to discount the strats so you can actually use them, and Tyrannofex and Exocrine to do damage. That's the list. Like I said, I don't play this detachment very much, so I'm not... We are in the experimental phase. I do think this is how the best way to play them in this current edition is. Again, the Hormagaunts being cut down to 10 mans just to flip objectives and movement block. The Gargoyles to movement block right off the bat and then recycle and movement block again. And then the Termagants, Exocrine, and Tyrannofex to actually do damage. But yeah, let me know what you think. For those of you who are experienced Endless Swarm players, please leave a comment in terms of what you think are the best lists, if the Termagant is still worth taking, and any success that you've had with the Unending Swarm. So appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.